Hey guys, Coach Greg here down at AM Fitness in Plainville, and here to talk to you about progressing a hip hinge into a kettlebell swing. Okay, down here at AM, we had to use the kettlebell swing a lot in our program. All right, it's a great hip power development, great for the posterior chain. A lot of us spend a lot of days sitting down using our quads. All right, we forget how to squeeze our butt, so we want to make sure that we get our glutes active. All right, in that kettlebell swing, we don't overuse our lower back. To do that, we have to make sure that we keep everything in a line and have a good form with the hinge. Then we can swing. So when we're first learning our hinge, all right, one of the things we want to do is make sure that we keep neutral head spine alignment. So we want to make sure head, shoulders, and hips stay in a nice straight line. So when we're learning, one of the first things we do is use a pole. Okay. So for this one, you're just going to grab broomstick, mop pole, whatever you have around the house or in the gym. You just grab onto that. You're going to go ahead and put it across your back so that when you line up, your head, all right, your shoulders and your hips are touching the pole. All right, from there, we're just going to soften up our knees. We're going to push our butt back to the wall. As you notice, chin stays in, eyes go down, hips go back. All 3 points of contact stay touching the pole, all right, through the range of motion. So what we're doing is making sure that we drive back, creating that horizontal motion from the hips. Because the hinge is a horizontal motion, not a vertical. Okay, squats, all right, go down, that's up and down, it's vertical. If you watch the hip, hinge, horizontal. Now, it happens a lot when these things first go up. The first time we do this is we bend over. Instead of hinging and moving from our hips here, we want to bend. All right, at that point, the only thing touching is the middle of our shoulders, okay? Our head and our hips are away from the bar, and we're coming down here. So we need to find a way to move through our hips without losing those, okay? So it's back, okay? Now, the other thing that happens is we try to stay too tall, and we're here, trying to go down onto our toes because we want to keep touching the pole. We got to make sure that we're moving backwards, almost like something's cutting us away at the hip, all right? Pushing us back into that position. Okay, so now, once we've gotten this down, all right, we've figured out how to use the pole, all right, we know how to keep our head, shoulders, and hips in a nice straight line without any kind of tactile reinforcement. All right, we're going to move on to kettlebell. Now, we're not going to load up with the deadlift or anything right now. What we're going to do first is work on retracting while moving, okay, making sure we stay in a nice tight posture and still, all right, move through our good hinge. So what we're going to do is get that kettlebell up. It's going to be up and tight against our chest. We're actually going to kind of pull it into our body. So we're pulling back, engaging our shoulder blades. From there, we're just going to push those hips back again, right into the heels. All right, so we're pushing into those heels. Feel that stretch on the backside. Drive and squeeze. Now, this is where we're going to start to learn to activate our glutes. Okay, we want to make sure that as we come up, we drive through the floor with our heels and squeeze our butt at the top of the range of motion. If you don't feel this active, all right, 90% of the time you're going to be using your lower back to do the exercise anyways, okay? We have to connect two muscles that we don't use very often, all right? A lot of times, you know, you're in the office or wherever, you bend over, you pick something up, you never squeeze your butt, you use your back the entire time. So if we go into a motion and our body's like, oh, I bend over all the time, I'll just use my back, you have to counter that. You have to make sure that you're concentrating on using your glutes. So it's in tight, push back, drive, squeeze. All right, so nice and tight. Now, can't happen where we have trouble getting the weight back in our heels, okay? So as we come up, all right, we're back, and we kind of lean forward, okay? We want to push our hips onto our toes, all right? So to counter that, we're just going to use simple plates, all right? You can use, you know, little plates or anything just to kind of elevate those toes just a little bit. It doesn't have to be very much, just enough to shift your weight into your heels. So again, we're up. Shoulder blades are tight, we push back, and we feel that, okay? We can't go anywhere else. Weights in our heels, drive, squeeze. Again, I'm pushing those heels through the floor because they're the only thing touching, right? Now, nice and tight in the abs, nice and tight in the butt cheeks, right? I'm feeling this begin to go. I'm feeling that activation, all right? Once I have that, once I can feel it, all right, now I'm going to be able to progress into my deadlift, okay? Normally you're going to go with a little bit heavier of a kettlebell because obviously if I can hold it up here, kind of light for me, not really where I need to go with. I need to really feel myself active. But I'm going to start with that kettlebell directly between the arches of our feet. So if I have my feet touch, open up, kettlebell is directly between there. When I address the kettlebell with my hands, grip is again important on this. So we're going to start with our hands together, okay, so we want those fingers, thumbs touching, down. And once I get down here, I'm going to drop it to my hips, I'm going to corkscrew my elbows. So you notice I'm going to turn my elbows back. What that's going to do is it's going to activate my lats, my serratus anterior, and sink my shoulder blades down, so I don't end up here in my neck, okay? So, I'm locked in, hips back, back's flat, eyes are down. Again, if I had that pull on, now drive through the heels, squeeze, right back down, okay? We're making sure, guys, that as we come through, we're driving those heels, we're concentrating on those glutes, and we're engaging the kettlebell. Again, from the side, okay, we're addressed, down, we're locked in. Back's flat, chin's down, squeeze, back, okay? Again, those hips are firing backwards, all right? Once we've got our deadlift down, okay, it's time to progress to something a little bit more momentum-based. Now, we can't just go from deadlifts straight to swings, okay? There's momentum here. There's more of a driving power that comes with the swing as opposed to a rectilinear movement like the deadlift. So, to bridge that gap, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a band, okay? What we're going to do is some banded skier swings, okay? This is going to load our hips, get us used to driving through our hips and using that hinging motion to create forward power, all right, without loading up our lower backs. So we're into our bands. We're stepping out, creating pressure. So we have a little bit of pressure here. The band's pulling me back into my hips, all right? So I'm going to lock my shoulder blades back. I'm going to push back, okay? Again, weighted in the heels. Toes are up as if I got those plates underneath there. There, drive. Okay? Being explosive, firing hard. Okay? Imagine I'm trying to throw something across the room with my hips. I'm trying to throw it forward with how hard I fire through here. Okay? So, you want to be able to get a nice drive, standing tall position. Now, what happens here is if I'm pushing through this band, okay, and I'm not driving my heels down into the ground, and instead I'm just kind of standing up, that band's going to pull me over, I'm going to start to fall backwards, okay? So it's going to be a little bit of a auto-correcting exercise. It'll let you know when you're not doing it correctly, okay? So, once we have that down, okay, we're driving through, okay, we feel our glutes activate here, we feel our core activate here, we make sure we stand tall every time, our heart rate's pumping, okay, we have good power through each and every rep. We're going to go on to our kettlebell swing. So, kettlebell is going to be out in front of us. Now, when we put the kettlebell out in front, we want that kettlebell to be about 10 to 12 inches away from our toes. That's going to give us the opportunity to create momentum without putting pressure on our lower back. From there, we're going to hinge back. Back's flat. Grab onto that kettlebell. Bottom of the kettlebell comes off the ground. Weight goes back into our heels. What we don't want to be is here. Okay, the kettlebell's out in front of me, but where's my weight? My weight's on my toes. I can't put my weight on my heels without putting too much pressure on my back. So, I'm going to sit back into my heels. I'm going to kind of pull that kettlebell back towards me. It's almost like it's stopping me from falling backwards. From there, I'm just going to hike it towards my butt, squeeze my butt, stand tall. Okay? Control on the way back down. All right, guys? With the kettlebell swing, you should be able to return that kettlebell to the same position you took off from the first time. Okay? Great way to practice that, guys, is do single reps. Okay? This way we can understand the takeoff and the return and the drive that's going to bridge that gap between repetition and start. And a lot of times we'll get here and we just won't know where to go after we start. So, single reps, return. Okay, and right back up. Still weighted in the heels. Back still flat. Return. Okay? Working those single reps. Once we got that, then we can go ahead and continue on and finish with some great kettlebell swings.